It is Aftershocks right here on Aftershocks TV, and joining us today to talk about her and her band Visions of Atlantis's brand new DVD and Blu-ray and video stream, I'm assuming as well. It's called A Symphonic Journey to Remember. It's out October 30th, and with us is the vocalist of Visions of Atlantis. It is Miss Clementine Delauney. Clem, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
How are you?
Good, very good. It's definitely great to finally speak to you. Visions of Atlantis has obviously seen its profile raised in the last couple of years with
Oh, really?
well, Wanderers certainly, as I'm sure you're aware, Wanderers made an impression, out not only in Europe, but outside of Europe into the States as well. And it really kind of raised the profile of the band. And I would say that in large part, that's because of you being in the band.
Oh, well, it's not just me. It's the music also, because you can have at some point the best singers out there. If the music they sing is not touching people or is not catchy or empowering or emotional, then it doesn't work. So it's a teamwork.
Sure, definitely. Well, Clem, you're obviously somebody that has been in other bands before you before landing with Visions of Atlantis. When you do something as grand as the Symphonic Journey to Remember is, does that kind of take the place of the stuff that maybe you held closest to your heart, originally, like from your older bands, or do you look at your career as just kind of one big catalog of music with different people?
I think that's a good question. I never asked myself that kind of question.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. I think as my career, as if you take it like from the timeline, it's like a path with different collaborations, and I go with the flow of the collaboration that I'm offered, and every time it's a new experience, every time is an opportunity to learn and to create something beautiful, and everything is different. I never measured what I do now with what I did in the past, because every step was important to me and is still, after all, it's music. I'm still very happy of my collaboration with Serenity, and I don't look down on that just because I didn't do a DVD with them with an orchestra. This is
Sure.
something different. But of course, that DVD with Visions and that show was an experience that was very intense on so many levels, and one of the most intense that I've had so far. But it doesn't cast a shadow on even the smallest show, because I tend to take and learn from any place. So I'm very happy with everything that I've been able to do so far.
Certainly. Now, since we're talking about Symphonic Journey to Remember, it is, like you just said, it is a grand experience to watch. It's a big thing, and I'm always curious with bands that when you guys make the decisions to work with an orchestra, there's a section of any metal audience that just will frown on that. And I know you know that.
Really?
Yeah, there definitely are. There's people that just want the rock and the metal and that.
But then they might not listen to symphonic metal.
And that's true. But the thing that I wanted to ask you is for a band, for a symphonic band to incorporate an orchestra in such grand fashion as you did here, how difficult is it to kind of rework things and make everything fit with the orchestra? Because I have to imagine that's a big process for you guys who have you've written the songs originally and how they sound, to incorporate all new sounds and all new styles into what you're doing.
Well, we had the privilege to work with an orchestra who's very open to mix their classical world with the rock world. So the Bohemian Symphony Orchestra from Prague, the
Right.
orchestra we've been working with on that DVD. And from day one, everything went really smooth with them, because we just sent them the songs over, and they did an amazing job defining, rewriting some parts so that they would fit the songs, because they had to adapt those songs to their ensemble, to their instruments, to depending on how many people is into every section of instruments, it doesn't sound the same. So we totally gave them complete autonomy on that, and they know how their orchestra sounds, they know what to do, and we were not those control freaks and need to get into every single detail of every melody, because that's not the point. It was definitely not the point for us. The point was to be able to perform live the songs that were, our songs were written with those instruments, even though they were not playing for real on the CD. So we just wanted to feel our music played the right way for once,
Right.
Having an orchestra with us, playing the themes, playing along what was originally written. They respected pretty much everything that was written on a record. And it created, of course, something new, something different, but it was not because it was different that it was bad. So we trust them so much on that. It went very, very smooth. Of course, we rehearsed and we worked on some details and some parts to make sure everything was together. And of course, there was some work post to the show, like after the show, to make sure the timing was right. Because when you combine very organic instruments with a very fixed tempo, sometimes it just doesn't work in the dynamic, because a string, in order to reach its higher notes, its peak, it's not instant. It doesn't work like a computer. So we had to sort of refine some little things, time-wise, tempo-wise, once the show was over and when we had all the tracks and everything, to be able to put the DVD together. But it worked live for a show, for one performance. It was amazing. And yeah, we didn't face so much of a struggle to put these two worlds together.
Sure. Is it something you'd like to do in the future again? Maybe after another album? Okay.
I mean, it was planned for us this summer to play 2 shows with the same orchestra.
Sure.
But you know what happened this summer. So, everything got postponed to next year. So we'll see if the plans remain the same. We'll see. But
sure.
It was already planned that we would play with orchestra again.
Sure. Now, what went into the decision now to do the orchestra show? Was it just the success of Wanderers Worldwide, or was it just you guys felt it was the right time to do it for the band, or it was just something that you wanted to try?
I think we just had the opportunity because we discovered that orchestra, and Thomas, our band leader, is very straightforward. He's like, oh, they can play with metal bands. I'm just going to ask them if they would like to do it with us and what the conditions would be. And when that conversation started and the orchestra was very fond of the idea, then we were like, okay, it could happen. Just let's find the right circumstances. And we thought doing it at a festival was easier in a sense that we have a lot of people there already. It's easier than if we had to put a show just for that. We're too small of a band maybe to do that already. So we decided to take advantage of already being at a festival, and Bang Your Head Festival in Germany was very open to the idea, supported very much. And that's it. At some point, we just all got an email like, hey, this show is going to be with orchestra. What? Yes. Okay. Let's do it.
Very nice. Now, Clem, let's talk about the first single, "Heroes of the Dawn." It's a very energetic song, and certainly the video that accompanies it really showcases not only the incorporation, with the orchestra, but it really showcases what you guys do. So, from your perspective, why was that song chosen, and do you feel that it's a good representation of the show that you did?
Well, for the reasons that you mentioned, it was pretty obvious for us to release that song at first because it has this energy, it has this positivity inside, and it has this rhythm. It's very, as you said, it's uplifting, and we thought as an introduction to what we did and to present the show as one first single, we thought it was a good idea to drop that one, but we knew already that it was not the only one we were going to release. And yeah, we like this song very much. It's a song that people also really like from Wanderers. So there was not so much hesitation here.
Excellent. Now, I did read in the press, so we'll take that for what it is. But I read in the press that you were extremely excited. You personally were excited about releasing this on Blu-ray. So I'm curious, from hearing that, when you watched it for the first time on Blu-ray, did you watch it like a little excited kid would, where you're like, oh, look at how great this is? Or did you watch it like most musicians that I know would, where you're saying, oh, I wish I would have been here, and oh, I wish I would have sang this note a different way and whatnot? Did you pick it apart, or did you just enjoy it?
To me, this entire show felt completely surreal, okay. From beginning to end. Because as a band, I didn't feel like we were that ready to do something like that. You know, the opportunity was there, but I felt, oh my God, like I personally didn't feel ready to do that. So I was like, okay, but I have to do it. So I have to find a way to just go through it and do my best. So watching the DVD was a mixture of oh my God, we did it, and to be so happy to finally have it for real, like the final result. And then you're always embarrassed because watching yourself perform is something you have to get used to, and I'm used to it, but it's just my performance evolves every time. And this show dates back July 2019. It was one of the first, this show, to be very clear with that, and I think it's a very nice point. It gathers so many first times. It was the first time we ever played with an orchestra. It was the first time we ever played with that much pyrotechnics. It was the first time that we were changing clothes in the middle of the show. The first time we were playing, songs from Wanderers. Like most of the songs from Wanderers there, we had never played live. Okay. It was the first time we were working with the light guy from Camelot for that show. It was the first time that our light person was actually doing pyrotechnics. So there could have been 100 reasons for mistakes and problems and issues. And actually, when I look at that show, I'm so proud that everything worked just fine, because we actually, at some point, took a leap of faith. You know, it's not like we have so much experience doing this. It's like we have to do it and do it. We have fun doing it. And yeah, so this DVD for me looks like a first time, like, but in a very good way. I mean, this is how it feels to me. And right now, even like when I look at this snippets, like my collaboration with Michele on stage got so much better, because you have to imagine that when we played that show, we had done a couple of small tours together, but he was in the band for 10 months only. You know, it was not like we knew each other so much. And on the Wanderers track, we had not prepared anything. On how we were gonna, no, we didn't have any chance to like stage rehearse that show. So all of the physical interaction between Michele and I are extremely spontaneous. So it has the charm of something that I think you can feel it, like you can see it, like this is not a typically programmed show with everyone doing the same thing all the time. I mean, there were some moments where it was clear what to do together, but most of that show is just us enjoying the moment, and I love that show for that so much. Sure. Yeah, it's so genuine.
It is, and it's definitely a fun show just to watch it. You know, you can tell that you guys are all enjoying it. You know, it's funny. You could tell, you and Michele, you could tell that you guys are really enjoying it. And I forget your drummer's name, but he is like the most intense guy I've ever seen play. I mean, he's really focused. He's like so locked in compared to the rest of you that look like you're having fun doing it. If he's told you this, I'm curious, is that because as the bottom end of the music that he had to focus in with the orchestra as well, which is like gotta be a whole new dynamic for a drummer?
It's several points. It's several things. Before that show, it was the first and only time that I saw all of my bandmates being so nervous. It's like everyone was so nervous because of the reasons I said before, like because it was so much first times. We knew we couldn't it up, you know. I'm not gonna say the F word, but you know, we had one chance, and it was going to be recorded. So, oh my God, we were thinking about it again. I started getting nervous, you know. So yeah, we were all very nervous, and I think that if the focus you can see from him is that nervousness combined with power, like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna nail that, and I'm gonna give my best. So I think he was really into that laser focus to just make the best out of his own playing, because he, as you said, he was supporting 25 people on stage. So he had to be present enough and tight enough and there enough to make sure everyone would follow the right track. Then he was playing behind those plexiglass, you know, because the sound of the drums were leaking so much into everyone's microphone, like all the orchestra's microphone. Every single guy had a different microphone. So you can imagine a drum set picked up 20 times by other little microphones that are just right in front of it would kill the sound. So we had to put those glass, and it was still not enough, but still it was helping. And he also found himself completely blocked away from the show. He didn't feel the same energy as he could feel when we can come to him right next to his drum set. And I know that this sort of he was not expecting that, because he had never played like that. So he also confessed that he felt sort of outside that show, and he maybe had to even focus even more to stay there and be there, because he couldn't so much grab us like he used to. And I think that must have been difficult for him. And he said that, like, for him, he hardly could realize exactly everything that was happening because of being separate the way he was. But yeah, he was very intense, and he did an amazing job on that show. So
absolutely. Now, Clem, you know, you briefly touched on it, but obviously the pandemic has shut everything in the music world down, you know, and it's unbelievably difficult, you know, or next to impossible for a lot of bands to survive and to continue, you know. Obviously you guys are holding strong, and you have the DVD, which, you know, in a weird way is timed right, because it's, you know, it's kind of in that hole. But
yeah, really.
What are you guys doing now? Are you riding it out as a long vacation? Are you guys working on music? What are you guys doing?
Well, vacation would never be an option, because the size of our band does not allow anyone to make a living out of it. So we all, I'm sorry to break the myth, but we all work. Like, we all have a day job. And I mean, I guess you know it. I don't know if everyone's aware of that, because sometimes I see some comments. People still believe that because bands and videos have millions of views, they think we're millionaires ourselves. I wish, but no. So we still work. So, but as a band, we take advantage of that crisis. It's not giving us shows, but it's giving us time, and we're using that time to write new songs. And actually, having this time off-road, I went to Italy with Michele to work on his own songs and to work on writing songs together. And we discovered an amazing connection that we have that we didn't know existed, because we never had a chance to experience it before. And I can already tell you that our new record is going to be on a totally different scale than compared to the ones we released before. And it's going to be way more personal, way richer, way more metal, and this is thanks to that amazing collaboration that we discovered, and the connection that we discovered between Michele and I. So I can't wait to go back there, finalize some tracks. We already have 11 tracks written. Oh, wow. We don't know yet how many we're gonna keep from this, but we're super excited for the future. Actually, despite the circumstances that say that we would not tour before probably fall next year, but we don't care. We're gonna put an amazing record out soon.
Awesome. Now, what is it that will make you comfortable to go back out touring? Is it everybody seems to have a different thought. Some people are like, if there's not a vaccine, we're not going out. There's other people are like, I'd go tomorrow if I could. Where do you stand? You and the band stand. Is there a standard, or are you just kind of waiting it out to see what develops and see what other people do?
I can only speak for myself. I can't say that's the band's idea on that, because that would be unfair for my bandmates who can't express themselves right now. It's not like we had a conversation as a band about that, because
Sure.
The thing is, it's not on us to decide when the whole thing could start. Right now, it's on politics all over Europe are saying venues can't be filled with as many people as they normally can welcome. So the shows that are allowed in venues are seated shows with a very little audience. So economically, it's not viable. It's not viable for the promoters, for the venues. And if the venues are like, okay, you want to come play with 30 people seated, sure, you can. But then the fee is going to be this much. Then it's not viable for us either, because then we can't cover for the cost of just coming over. So right now, the reason why nobody's touring is because shows aren't economically doable.
Mm.
The day governments say the virus has slowed down, it is reasonable to believe that we can allow venues to be used in their full capacity. Everyone is going to start booking shows again, because this is going to be a government and a political decision to allow shows to happen again. It won't happen because the bands want it. It won't happen because venues want it. Right now, it's on the legal aspects that it's happening. So I guess in order for politicians to take the risk to open venues, they must not take any risks. So they must be like facing a situation where the virus has been down for a long time, or there is a vaccine out that has proven is reliable and doesn't have any horrible side effects, which still require months to be proven.
Mm-hmm.
So politicians have to have the right environment to say it's safe to have concerts again. And then if governments say it's safe to have concerts again, well, everyone is going to go for concerts, and bands are going to tour, and venues are going to reopen. I don't think there is something in between, because as a promoter myself, I kind of know how show works. So,
sure.
So I think, this would be my position. Yeah.
Right.
The day shows are legal again is because the pandemic would be so low that no one takes risks anymore.
Right. And what's going to be crazy is when that day comes, every band is going to be trying to get those spots.
They're already trying.
And it's going to be so odd. I mean, it's going to be, I've been calling it Monday show syndrome, where you're going to see a lot of bands that you would normally see on a Friday or a Saturday playing on a Monday or Tuesday, just because the venues are going to be so booked, because everybody's going to be out there touring.
Well, the thing is, every shows that have been sort of canceled or postponed are already scheduled for another period of time. So what I see on my side is that most of 2021 is already booked,
right?
At least in France,
Right.
Because so many shows have been postponed. It's like the calendar just filled itself up, and I'm already booking shows for 2022. It's the first time ever that I'm booking shows 1.5 years ahead. This never happened before. It was like maybe a year ahead, but 1.5 years was, I've never done that before. So yeah, but the thing is, those shows are booked without any certainty that they can happen. It's just that we need to get going. We need to make plans. We need to plan tours. It's like we have to be there the moment shows are allowed. There should be shows the next day,
right? Because
they would be planned ahead,
right?
So yeah.
Yep.
But in Europe, there are shows on Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the time. When you're on tour in Europe, you can play every night because the distances are not the same as in the US. In the US, when you really need to drive from like one big city to another, could be takes you 2 days. So then you have a day off there, and then you can play from like Sunday to Thursday. You know,
Right.
I mean, not play for 4 days, and it's fine. But in Europe, it's you can mostly play every day.
Sure, definitely. Well, for people that can't see you guys play right now, they can at least see you play on the new DVD. It is called A Symphonic Journey to Remember. It is an absolutely great DVD, and just aesthetically, it's phenomenal. Whether you like the music or you don't like the music, you should. But even if you don't, the aesthetics of this thing are amazing, and I definitely wanted to congratulate you guys once again for this thing. And I'll tell you what, Clem, tell people where they should go online to keep up with the band and to pick up the DVD and all that stuff.
Well, the DVD you can order on Napalm Records online store. Otherwise, you can follow the band on all social media platforms. Let's say Facebook and Instagram are our major platforms where we're the most active, and we've shared the link for pre-ordering the DVD everywhere. And yeah, so you won't miss that.
All right, excellent. Well, everybody should go pick it up. It's one more time. It's A Symphonic Journey to Remember. It's out October 30th. It's Visions of Atlantis. And Clem, thanks so much for coming on with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Aftershocks. For more episodes, go to our website at www.aftershockspodcast.com. Visit us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more news and information on the podcast. And be sure to subscribe, listen to, and review all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. For your music listening pleasure, visit our website or go to www.shockwavesradio.com. For all comments and questions, please email us at info@aftershockspodcast.com.